behind the bling.
How many carats is that?
This is 1 carat.
Okay.
How much is that sparkle really worth?
The diamond only goes up. Oh, the diamond value only goes up.
We buy diamonds from some popular retailers and put them to the test.
Oh, wow. Your eyes got really wide there.
Yeah, I feel kind of ripped off. Upsetting.
With so many dreams on the line,
How would your customers feel to hear these results, do you think?
don't put a ring on it until you watch your marketplace. We're at a bridal show in Toronto, where love and business go hand in hand, and almost every ring finger has a diamond on it. We set up and get right to work, finding out what you know about your diamonds.
So when you were going to get your ring, did you know what you wanted?
Not really.
I actually purchased a VS1 F-type, so I knew exactly what I wanted when I went in.
You know your stuff.
Yes.
We've come to associate these expensive chunks of carbon with passion, devotion, and status. And there's been plenty of help to get us here. Big brands sell the idea that diamonds are a girl's or a boy's best friend. Canadians spend billions each year buying into the bling. But are we getting what we're paying for? We hear from you about your jewelry letdowns, and experts tell us there can be inconsistencies between what we're told and what we're sold. So we're undercover at major Canadian retailers, People's, Ben Moss, and Michael Hill, budget-friendly brands you might find at your local mall.
Can I try on a ring, please? Just this one right here.
Buying diamond rings and putting these popular retailers to the test. We're looking at quality.
Step higher, step lower could be big difference in a price.
And what the diamonds are worth.
Does the diamond itself maintain the value?
The sales associates definitely know the lingo.
You have a G color, the best there is. The quality is an I1.
You see, very good cut. Very good cut.
This is an I color I1.
But what about these brides and grooms-to-be?
So you looked at the 4 C's, what are they? I'm gonna, quiz.
Color, clarity,
That's carat.
carat, the
Carat.
main one.
Do you know what the 4 C's are? You're going there.
So color, clarity, cut, and cost.
Carat.
Carat, yeah.
Carat, that's the one we're missing.
Size, yeah.
We're talking about the 4 C's of diamonds. Carat weight. A carat is 200 milligrams. Clarity assesses the blemishes and inclusions in the stone. Color. Colorless is the ideal here. And cut. The way the diamond's facets interact with light. The better the 4 C's, the pricier the diamond. On average, Canadians spend about $4,300 on diamond engagement rings, a big purchase. Back undercover, we're told the quality is backed by a grading report.
It has all the specifications here, the shape, the weight, the clarity, the color, the measurement, the cut.
Those reports come from labs that grade the diamond. But jewelry appraiser Steve Knight says 2 labs can grade the same diamond and get different results.
So people could be buying a diamond and not actually getting what they think they're paying for?
All the time.
He says the industry gold standard for grading is the Gemological Institute of America, or GIA.
So everybody else in the world and whatever grading and whatever they're doing is comparing against the GIA standard.
To see how the 4 C's match up, we buy 3 rings graded by other labs, diamond solitaires from each retailer. We choose SI2 for clarity, less than 1 carat, and pay under $3,500 for each. And then send them to GIA. But first, we hear diamonds are a good investment, a selling point for an item that lasts forever.
Every day is going up. Oh, really? So if I were to buy this, the value would just go up. Absolutely. Oh, that's a good investment, yeah.
Steve's watching along.
She does say we don't know what's going to happen in the future, but is that fair?
It's certainly not going up every day like she said. I think that's terrible that she's misleading you that much. The purpose of a diamond is for adornment and to enjoy in jewelry, but as an investment, no.
Peoples won't explain why their employee said diamonds go up in value every day, but the company tells us they stand behind their diamonds. And speaking of value, at all of the stores, we're given 2 values for the same ring.
It'll stay 75. Even though we give you the discount, that's the nice thing about us.
I see.
This Michael Hill employee says if we ever have to replace the ring, it would be worth a lot more.
Because they don't know how much you paid for it, we'll say, hey, this is the full retail value. Even though, let's say you pay $6,500 or $6,200, you'll still get the $7,500 on the actual on the certificate of authenticity.
So we take our findings to Anne-Marie Thomas from the Insurance Bureau of Canada. She knows a thing or two about replacement values.
This is from a Ben Moss store that we visited.
So you sell for $39,999, give or take, and it's almost $5,500 for the appraisal plus tax. So how does that work? How come the appraisal is more? So it's worth more. Actually, it's worth more. So this is for insurance, I would guess. Yeah.
That would make the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. It would make me question the whole thing.
She says get an independent appraisal instead of trusting the replacement value on those documents.
Her colleague then jumps in. This is what he has to say.
But your colleague said this is what it's worth today. Is that fair?
For the insurance, not today. Okay, on the appraisal value, they will always check it out because you don't buy it today and all of a sudden you lose it right off the bat.
Right.
You're not appraising for the future. You're appraising what the item is worth today.
It's possible that in some cases you might be getting a deal, but in this case, Anne-Marie isn't buying it.
I'm going to show you one example. This one's from Ben Moss. So this is what we paid, $31.44. And this is what was on the grading report that we got in store. Does that raise any red flags for you?
It would, because I can't see a jeweler giving you a 50% discount, for lack of a better term, on an estimated replacement value. So I would think that that would be suspect.
Michael Hill says the value on the certificate is the retail price, and the ring we bought was discounted. Ben Moss says they don't assign the replacement value, the lab they use does. But now our diamonds are back from the lab we sent them to, and the new grades are in. Let's see how our reports compare to the grades from GIA. Starting with our Michael Hill diamond. The carats match, and so does the clarity. GIA says the color is G, better than the original report, but the cut is a step down from excellent to very good. We share the results with Steve, who appraises the ring based on the specs in both reports.
You've gotten pretty close to what you're getting. To me, that's more than acceptable. That's definitely a pass. The color and cut actually offset each other to make it about even.
Okay, so it all evens out.
It evens out on this particular one.
For this one, the value goes up just slightly by $130 with GIA's report. Next up, the diamond we bought from Peoples. The carats match, no GIA grade for cut because of the number of facets. Again, the color is a step up to F. But GIA says it's an I1 for clarity, not the better SI2 we're promised.
People want an SI stone, not an I1. Clarity is one of the main factors and one of the things that the consumer could almost see. In an I1, you might be able to see the inclusions.
This time, the value falls by $915 with the GIA report.
Because the grading information wasn't the same, the value is $1,000 less.
Everything changes.
Everything.
A good example of how subjective grading reports can be.
How would you guys feel if you found out your diamond was even a step down from what it says on the certificate that you got in the store?
You're paying a certain amount and you're expecting something, and so if you find out that it's like not what you're being told, then yeah, it would be disappointing.
And then you find out another lab, a very reputable lab, says, we got different results.
Yeah, I feel kind of ripped off, for sure. Upsetting, yeah, because it's a lot of money. It's a big investment.
In response to our results, Michael Hill says the lab they use is recognized and used internationally. And Peoples says the results of the grading reports are very close and small differences are expected. So far, the grading for one diamond is close, but not a perfect match, while the other takes a step down on a crucial C, clarity. There's one more diamond to go. Coming up, we get results for our Ben Moss diamond, and it's quite a surprise.
Oh, wow.
Get more Marketplace. Sign up for our weekly newsletter at cbc.ca/marketplace. And do you have a story you think Marketplace should investigate next? Tell us all about it on email, Twitter, and Facebook. This is your Marketplace. We're undercover, revealing the reality behind buying diamonds, putting 3 popular Canadian jewelers to the test: Ben Moss, Michael Hill, and Peoples.
How many carats is that? This is 1 carat, okay?
We send diamonds to a top lab for grading to see if the 4 C's match up to what we're sold. Our Michael Hill diamond is close.
That's definitely a pass.
But at Peoples, one of the big 4 C's, clarity, is worse than what we're told.
People want an SI stone, not an I one.
Now we're on to our final diamond from Ben Moss. The carats match. No mention of the cut on the original report, but GIA says it only scores a fair rating. The clarity falls from SI2 to I1, and the color does too. It's an H instead of a G as advertised.
For a consumer, this wouldn't have been good for them to have happen. When we start to get into the I1 grading area, the price drops substantially.
How much does it drop? When Steve appraises the ring based on both reports, the value falls by $860.
So this is one where they didn't include the grade of the cut on the certificate. Why wouldn't they include something like that?
There's not really a good reason, because they should have, because the public are familiar with the 4 C's: clarity, color, cut, and carat size. Interesting enough is they did not include it in this one, but on one of the other certificates, they did include it. That can make a big difference. From the very best cut to the very worst is a lot of money.
We found in 2 cases, given the difference in the certificates, the rings would lose about $1,000 in value.
Oh, wow.
Your eyes got really wide there.
That's a lot. Like, that's so much, especially with things getting more and more expensive.
The diamonds lost about $1,000 in value.
Wow.
Oh, wow. That's
a
quite
much
a
higher,
bit,
yeah.
Higher
That's
than you
incredible.
thought.
Yes,
Oh,
much more
way
so.
higher than I thought. Yeah.
Clearly, appraisals can be subjective. So what advice do you have for people when they're buying a ring and they're looking at these numbers?
I think they have to be aware of things look like it's too good a deal, so you're getting a $6,000 ring for $3,000.
And as you say, if it's too good to be true,
It probably is.
With diamonds, there's more at stake than just your bottom line. Have you heard of conflict-free diamonds? It might not cover what you think. In fact, it only covers rough diamonds that fund a very specific kind of conflict, rebel attacks on legitimate governments. But that's not what we're told in store.
Would the conflict-free cover like environmental things?
I think totally.
So you're pretty covered.
But it's also like, it would also cover forced labor and like child labor.
Absolutely.
Kimberley Process. Okay.
Absolutely, part of the Kimberley Process.
The Kimberley Process, put in place in 2003, is designed to keep conflict diamonds out of the supply chain. All the stores we visit say they follow it. But Joanne Lebert of Impact, a natural resources NGO, says it's failing.
All other human rights violations, sexual violence, child labor, environmental violence and injustice, corruption, fraud, smuggling, money laundering, doesn't fall within the definition. So the Kimberley Process is a bit of a dinosaur.
We show her what we're told on hidden camera.
Everything is conflict-free, so it's like Kimberley source, they regulate, so make sure that it's no blood items.
Does that mean like there's no like forced labor or
Not forced labor, nobody like suffering those that put them on.
what's your reaction to hearing what consumers are being told?
It's inaccurate. It's untrue. Absolutely untrue.
Impact is one of the founders of the Kimberley Process, but left in 2017.
We didn't want to lend our name to that whitewashing anymore.
The government department that represents Canada in the Kimberley Process says it's making a difference, but reform is needed. Back undercover, stores can't tell us where most of their diamonds are from. So how can they ensure they're ethically sourced?
Only Canadian I can tell. Like international, I don't know. Oh, is there any way to find out with international? We can't.
And while there are other organizations that have checks that go beyond the Kimberley process, with members like Michael Hill and Peoples, Joanne says you should be wary of a sales pitch that says there's no abuse of any kind.
And we could potentially be buying diamonds that, the people who've mined them have experienced these things.
Yes, it's quite possible. I still think there's a dearth of available materials and reports that are consistent that actually tell the whole story of the diamond from mine to market.
What would you like to see the stores do?
Well, the fact that conflict-free doesn't necessarily mean child labor-free, for one. I think that definitely needs to be addressed. Something like, not knowing the origin of the diamonds. I think that's crazy that, we don't have that information.
Coming up, we go searching for answers from the companies behind the bling.
That's very confusing for consumers.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, what are we looking at really when we're buying these diamonds?
Get more Marketplace. Sign up for our weekly newsletter at cbc.ca/marketplace. And do you have a story you think Marketplace should investigate next? Tell us all about it on email, Twitter, and Facebook. This is your Marketplace. Marketplace is delving into diamonds. We're undercover at top brands Ben Moss, Michael Hill, and Peoples, fact-checking the sales pitch. When we send our diamonds to a second lab, the specs change and so does the value. We share our findings with all of the retailers, but only one agrees to an interview.
We just landed in Halifax. We're going to head over to Dartmouth to get some answers from Ben Moss.
Tom Hart is the VP of Merchandising for Charm Diamond Centers, the company behind Ben Moss Jewelers.
The results determined that the diamond was of less quality than we were told it was in store. What is your reaction to hearing that?
It's very common to have 1 grade differences, both in color and clarity. And the example that you provided me, that's exactly the case.
We did speak to some shoppers. We also spoke to some experts and critics, of course,
Sure.
who say that the information we were given in store is misleading, leading customers to think that they're getting a better valued or a better quality diamond than they are.
I would disagree. I think we were very transparent and told you the truth.
We asked him about the replacement value that Anne-Marie called suspect. Remember, we paid about $3,100 for the Ben Moss ring, but got a report in store that says it's worth almost $6,000.
Why was the estimated retail replacement value so high?
You got a better diamond, a 1 grade better diamond, than how we priced it. You just got lucky. You found what we call a hidden treasure, where you got like a much better diamond than what you really paid for.
Even when we assessed it, it still wasn't $6,000. It was only $4,000 in some. Where did this $6,000 figure come from?
This comes from an independent laboratory that assesses the value. This isn't the value we put on it.
Why would they be so much higher?
To me, it's not unusual to see discrepancies. I agree this one is fairly large.
Let's talk a little bit about what we were told by salespeople when it came to the Kimberley process. We were told that it includes things it doesn't include, like forced labor, environmental issues.
Would conflict-free cover like environmental things?
I think totally.
So we don't do that good training about the KP process, the Kimberley process. So as I have to kind of thank you, you've pointed out a flaw in our training. We're going to fix it so that in the future, our associates know more about the Kimberley process.
What is Ben Moss doing to ensure that diamonds are ethical overall and cover things outside the Kimberley process?
Well, truthfully, there's really nothing we can do beyond being just totally supporting the Kimberley process. The diamonds
it doesn't
that
go
are
far enough.
That's not Ben Moss's fault. All the diamonds that are mined in the world outside of Canada, and a very few in Botswana, are all mixed together. So nobody knows exactly what country they're from, unless they're from Canada. No salesperson could tell you where they're from unless they were making it up. Nobody knows.
How can your customers be sure they're buying an ethical diamond then?
They should buy a Canadian diamond.
Is Ben Moss a member of the Responsible Jewelry Council?
We are not.
And why not? If your competitors are. You said it's not your fault the Kimberley process doesn't go far enough, but there are organizations that do look out for these things.
It's a fair question. We never thought it was an important organization to be a member of because our key suppliers are. So we feel very comfortable that the diamonds we are buying are as appropriate and as fair as anybody else's. It just never really crossed our radar that would be an important thing to do.
Peoples and Michael Hill both tell us they carry a small line of diamonds that do have origin tracing. Michael Hill adds proving origin is challenging for the diamond industry, but they say customers can be assured they purchase their diamonds from legitimate sources. Back at the bridal show, it's clear love comes first.
We've been together for 11 years now.
Wow.
We had a mutual friend who introduced us, and we've been together ever since.
And while the value of a diamond may be in the eye of the beholder, the love that ring represents is priceless.
What was it like when you slipped that ring on your finger?
Oh, that was nice. It's a good part.